Hello, everyone. This is Elizabeth with Scott Leroy Marketing, and welcome to Docusign 201. Today is February 10th, so if you are viewing the recording, some features may have changed. Today, we are going to start out in Command, which is agent.kw.com in Google Chrome Incognito. If you are needing to go incognito, you can click the three dots in the top right corner and select New Incognito Window. First, we'll enter our username, which is generally something like first initial, last name, maybe a number, capitalization not required. Then we'll enter our password and click Sign In. Now, in today's class, I'll take you through the advanced tips and tricks to make your Docusign experience more effective, more efficient. I'll show you additional features that Docusign has to speed up your transaction process. So real quick recap, I'm going to head to my name in the top right corner and click Settings just to make sure my Docusign account is connected. Now, if you need any help with this step, feel free to email us and we can help not only get an account created, but also connected if yours says not connected here in the status. You will also want to note the Docusign account that is listed here. This will give you a little hint. We will be needing this login every day as Docusign likes to clear out everyone's logins so that security is kept top notch, and you'll need this to sign in every day. I'll also send out the Docusign notes and tips guide in the chat, which will also be found in the description of the recording. This is where you can find not only the written out steps of what we'll go through today, but also other tip videos related to Docusign and the previous Docusign class, Docusign 101, which we last just taught on Monday. But we do recommend you watching that course before watching this course, as this will go through the process a little bit slower, a little bit more intricately, so that you can be prepared for the advanced tips and tricks that we'll go over today. Now, the general workflow when starting a transaction is also on that notes and tips guide. So just to recap that, you're going to start in contacts as your first step. You're either going to add the contact in or choose from your contacts list. Second step is to open the Opportunities tab. Either open the opportunity that you already have going or create a new one. If you do need to create a new one, the three fields we recommend with highest priority are the opportunity type, client, which autofills nicely if you're inside the contact record, and commission rate. For more details on not only the contacts, which can be found in our database management class, but also the opportunities in our Opportunities with Command class, feel free to check out our YouTube channel. Again, that's youtube.com/Scott Leroy Marketing or slmtraining.com. So we're going to go ahead and open that opportunity. and head over to the Documents tab, which is in the middle of the screen in the white menu here. Now, third step to creating that Docusign room is to pick a checklist type if your market center has those created. This is important because if they have the checklist created and they have the Docusign documents matched up with the checklist, as denoted here by the little DS in a square, those documents will auto-populate in your room. So we want to create this checklist first, or pick from the drop-down, so that most of the steps are taken care of for us. Last step is to click Start a Transaction, the black button at the right side of the screen. Now, your screen may look different than mine because I actually have both Docusign and .loop connected. We actually only recommend connecting either or, so whichever one your office suggests working with. And of course, this is a Docusign class, so I'm going to choose Docusign. Now, you will also want pop-ups enabled because this Docusign tab pops up. So if you do have pop-ups disabled, check in this URL search field at the top to enable those and allow that tab to open. Like I mentioned, Docusign signs you out every evening, so you will want to log into Docusign if you have not already. And click Continue. And then enter your password. And that's not the right password. And click Login. Now you can see here that it creates my room with the same name as the opportunity. It would have the address if I would have added it in. And it has the documents populating with what my market center has attached to the checklist. Now you can also add documents by clicking Add at the top right, and then choosing Docusign Forms. Now, if you're being prompted to add in your NRDS ID, you can click Skip this step for now. And if you have any questions about loading in your NRDS ID, feel free to email us and we'll be happy to add that in for you. And of course, this screen will look a little different for you as well, as your market center sets up different groups, also known as like packets of documents. And depending on what state or local board you're with, you'll see different libraries down here as well. So if you want to learn more about filling in these documents and the general process to get them to your clients and back in your opportunity for your market center, again, check out that Docusign 101 class, and it'll go into more detail about how to do all of that process. Now I'm just going to open up this exclusive right to sell or listing agreement. The more details you enter into the opportunity, the more that will syndicate over, including the address. But you'll see only a few fields do. And of course, your documents may be different. So the first thing we're going to do is create a template for this, because in my board, some of this can be filled out already, is general information for most of the transactions. So we can create a template for that so that that will already be taken care of for us. So we're going to close out this document for now. Click on the My Docs tab at the very top. And then right underneath that, you'll see another menu. And we'll choose the Forms or Form Templates tab. There we go. Now, again, your screen may look different than mine if you already have created templates or have not already created templates, but your templates will be shown here. Simply click Create Form Template, the blue button at the top right. First, you'll select your Docusign form library or group. Next, from that selection, you'll choose whatever group or library that you're going to pull your document from. And select your document. So you can either search by a keyword and it'll start narrowing down the options for you, or you can scroll to find that form. Then you'll just click the little radio button on the left-hand side and click Use. Yeah, if your area, your board has Docusign and your NRDS ID is added into your account, your forms will populate there and be able to be used with templates. Now you'll see this looks exactly like how to edit the form. So you'll just go through line by line, page by page, updating this as you would need to for most of your transactions. So I'm going to enter the brokerage name here. Generally, this one is checked. Now this is for a residential, which I'll come back to why that's important later. Generally, I'm going to enter a 0 here. I'm going to choose those. Generally, it's a 6%, 3 for each side. Maybe you have a $250 additional commission. Your name entered here. All right, now if your form is super long or you have a lot of information to enter, I do recommend saving frequently. So this button, this yellow button, will save and close so you can reopen and continue editing. Now, these options are not set in stone. So even though this is a template and this information will syndicate when you pull it in, you can still change these at a later time. So if your deal is actually going to be 5%, 2 for your side, 3 for the other, then you can change this on particular transactions. You can also rename this template. So for instance, this one in particular is for a residential property. So you can rename by clicking the pencil in the top left and maybe renaming it residential. This comes in really handy, for example, with the real estate contract or offer. If you are doing a cash offer or financed, you can create one template for cash, one template for finance. Another example is with this listing agreement. If you want to do new home or land, you can do that as well and rename in the top left. And then once you secured your name here, you can just click the little green check mark to apply that. And I'm going to save and close. So if you do need to come back to this page, you don't necessarily have to log in through command. You can directly go to realestate.docusign.com, log in with your email and password, go to My Docs, Form Templates, and then, yep, it was this one. And then edit next to the template that you created today. So here's a cash example, like I mentioned. Now, with this little drop-down arrow to the right, you can also create a copy of this template. Really, really useful if you want to, fill in one for residential, create a copy, and use what you already have entered to just change one item, maybe two, rename, and save. So again, really useful for the offers. If you first go through and create one for cash, then you can create a copy to do the finance. Now that is also where you can delete. So if you accidentally made a mistake or are just not using that template anymore, you can delete from that menu as well. Now to apply this template that we created to a document that you have in your room or don't quite have in your room yet, we're going to go back to our room. You can either use Rooms or Dashboard. I like Dashboard because it has the recently viewed and new rooms. So I can click the room that's at the top here to quickly go back to it. And then go back into the Documents tab. Now, the first way, if you don't already have the form in your room, you can click Add, choose Docusign Forms, navigate to the folder, and then to the document. Now you'll see this one is already in use. It is already in my room. But for example, if you do have the document not in your room yet, you can check to select. And then over on the right-hand side, you'll see a drop-down where you can choose your template. Now, if you do already have that document in your room, as we see here, you can right-click and apply form template. Now you will see that is not an option for a document that you do not have a template for. So just another great reminder that, whatever document you have already created a template for, and those you have not. And then once you select that applied form template, you can choose from the options here and click apply. Now, do note that the data on the template will override any existing data on the form. So you do want to apply this template before you go altering or editing the document. You'll see the little green success banner. And now we can go open up the document by simply selecting it. And you'll see not only the template information has pulled in, but also the contact information pulling in over from opportunities. Now, the second tip or trick that I wanted to show you today is how to edit PDFs in Docusign. So this is going to be useful for a couple of different examples. First would be editing, for example, an offer that an agent has sent over, maybe attached to an email that, maybe they got from Docusign or Dotloop. So it's signed by their clients. It's a PDF version so that you cannot edit it, but you can take that form, download it if it is from an email, and click add. And this time you'll choose from computer instead. So let me quickly find a PDF here. Now here you will also see there is a new icon. This one is the PDF, the Adobe emblem, and it's red versus the Docusign interactive form that's blue. This is a really great visual way to tell the difference between your documents here. Now, if you do have more than one, you can add in all of them, just repeating that process. But now we're going to send this document to an envelope. There's a few ways to do this. If you just have the one document, you can right-click and create envelope. If you do have more than one document, you can start checking off the little checkbox in the top left corner. And you'll see this menu appear where you can click the Create Envelope, which is just a little pen with a line drawn. Or if you just want to double check the PDF that you uploaded and have it open, you can click Document Actions, which is the little paper icon in the top right, and create envelope from here as well. Now, one of the differences between the PDFs and the Docusign interactive forms is the PDF doesn't allow you to edit it from that Documents tab. And when it is pulled into this envelope, it won't automatically have the initials, signatures, dates, all of those fields for client signature auto-populating. So you'll just want to fill in the in the envelope as much as you'd like. We do recommend creating some sort of naming convention so you know what's in this envelope. You'll see the documents have already been added in, but if you do need to add more, you can. Next, you'll choose Recipients. Now, this is another difference between the PDF and the interactive form. You'll see here pre-tagged roles is not an option like it is with the interactive form. So you'll just want to choose room participants. And let's add in the seller and the agent and click Add Selected. Now you can also add additional people by email address. For example, a transaction coordinator, mortgage lender, anyone that needs to maybe receive a copy, not be able to edit it, but just receive a signed copy. You can add them in by email address, change their permission. And another little tip for you, you can also reorder how people sign by using these boxes on the left. So for example, if you want the client to sign first, and then maybe the second client to sign second, and maybe your transaction coordinator to sign third, you can enter the order here. Now, little note, as the sender, you do automatically receive a copy of the completed envelope. So only add yourself here as the agent if you need to sign. Listing agreements, contracts. If you need to sign, add yourself in here. Otherwise, you'll receive a completed copy. Next, you can go down and edit the email subject and email message if you so choose. Docusign does have a really nice template for this, so it's not required. There's not a little asterisk here, but feel free to go through this process yourself with you as the test client and see what that subject and message says and see if you want to edit it. Then click Next. Now here's my document. You'll see there are no initial, signature, date fields automatically populating. So at the top right here, you see it does default to my client with the color yellow. And it has the standard fields menu open. So you just want to go through your document and pull in any of the fields that you need. So if you need initials on each page, you can pull those in simply by clicking and dragging. And then if you need a signature, again, click and drag in. Now, what it also doesn't pull in is the date signed. So if your document needs the date for the signature, you'll also have to pull that in as well, but it will function the same. So once your client opens the documents, starts initialing, starts signing, this date will autofill for them. Now, quick workaround if you have more than one client. Again, yellow at the top is this first client, But if you do have a second client, let's pretend that me as the agent is the second client for now. We're going to click their name in this dropdown, add in the first set of initials, and to work smarter, not harder, you can actually highlight just by clicking, outside, maybe starting top left, and dragging this dashed square around both fields so that they both select blue. And then you can, on your keyboard, PC users press and hold Control, Mac users press and hold Command C for copy. And you'll see this little icon highlight at the very top. Again, reminding you that that's Control C. Now, when you go down to the subsequent pages, you can press Control or Command V to paste. If you need that reminder, it's the little clipboard icon in the top center, Control V or Command V for view. Are you referring to this menu here, the standard fields? It should be shown and opened automatically, but you can find it by clicking the little rectangle on the left-hand side. You may also need to switch browsers. We recommend Google Chrome Incognito, but you can also use Command and Docusign really well with Mozilla Firefox Private, similar to Google's Incognito. You may also need to zoom out. You can do that by clicking the three dots at the top right, or with that Control or Command shortcut that I just showed you. If you press and hold Control or Command on your keyboard and then use your scroll wheel on your mouse, you can zoom in or zoom out the page as needed. To get rid of an additional initial or signature, simply click to select and click delete on the right-hand side. There is not a way to have the initials auto-populating on a PDF, but there is a way to do it with the Docusign interactive forms. They'll auto-populate just as all the other fields will when pulling those into an envelope. So now, once you've pasted those couple of initials, you can move them around. So if they're not exactly in the same or in the location that you need them to be, you can move them around just by clicking and dragging. And of course, signature fields are the same. So if you need to add a second signature, maybe a second date, you can highlight all, copy, and then paste and move those around to subsequent pages if you need. Now flipping back over to the client, which is the yellow color. And then of course, will be different colors. There's a purple in here too, with every additional person that's added into this envelope. So for example, if you had a document that you did need your seller to fill out, you can use the rest of these fields to prompt them to do so. So if you needed them to fill out on my listing agreement, there's a spot for the title company. You know, you can put that in here. Whichever information you need, you can change the size by clicking the little white dots in the corners. And this being designated yellow will show that this yellow client will fill those out. There is also additional options over here on the right. So if you want to make it a required field, you would leave it checked. But if you wanted to make it an optional field, you would uncheck this. And you'll see once it's deselected that it's still highlighted yellow. It's got the yellow border, but the middle of the field is now white. So fully yellow is the required, border yellow is the optional. Now, if you, the agent, needs to fill one out, you would actually use these pre-fill tools, which is the little pencil icon on the left-hand side. And these are gray, so they don't have any color. So for example, if you needed to change the seller's name, so if the buyer's agent sent over an offer and your client's names are incorrect, now we do recommend checking with your broker or compliance coordinator to see if this is allowed in your area, but you can use the line tool as a strikeout and then add in the correct text here. And you can edit by simply double clicking. And now you'll see that that text box is added and replacing the striked out info. Now you may then need to go back into the standard fields to your client and add in an initial. Again, check with your broker or compliance coordinator on if that is required. You know, maybe the agent also needs to do so. So you can add those in wherever your broker suggests. Now, these text boxes will not prompt the client to fill them out, but the client can see them. So let's make it more like this. And let's say have the initials over on this side. They'll see that the previous information was incorrect, has a strike through, has the replacement, and they can be triggered to initial that change as well. Now, once you're done editing your document, we do highly recommend clicking the recipient preview button in order to see how this looks on your client's side before they receive it. You can toggle between the different clients still at the top left. You can also toggle between the type of view, desktop, tablet, and mobile. So you'll see this one's not optimized for mobile. You can actually click start like they will, and then be brought to the different fields. Let's expand this so you can see it. You'll see this one is required, so they do have to fill in this one. Go to next, initial, 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 and sign. Now, this does not actually sign for them. You'll see it just fills in the word signature. So as soon as you're done with the preview, you can click the little gray X in the top right corner. Just be sure not to close the entire window. You'll want to come down a little bit to the preview to exit. And then once you're done with the preview and your documents are 100% accurate, you can click send. Now this will then send to your clients to be signed. And you'll be brought back to the envelopes dashboard here. You can also toggle between the list view and the grid view. So if you prefer to see the grid view, kind of expands the picture of the envelope and the status. So if you need to sign as well, you can either wait for the email to come in to your email address, whether you've designated yourself to sign first or second, or you can come in and open the envelope and click to sign immediately. So in my case, I did put myself as second, so I'll receive the email alert after the seller has signed. But if you did not change these and yourself was a 1, there would be a sign option here. Now, one weird thing to know about PDFs, just another difference between PDFs and the interactive forms, is we did add in the initial and signatures and dates, and in our example, a few text boxes and a line. Now, those edits will not be shown on the form until the clients have signed. So if we come back to our Documents tab and open the PDF again, you're not going to see the changes or the initials or signatures that we added in just yet, until the client comes back and has signed the envelope. So again, this can be used for offers that come in from buyer's agents via email. They've attached the PDF. You can upload just as we did. This can also be used for previously signed documents as well. And let me show you what those signed documents look like. So remember before I told you about the blue form icon, and then we just learned about the red PDF icon. Once the client has signed, there will be a green signed icon. So even though you see not only the signed version, you will also see the Docusign interactive form that was originally in the Docusign Room. So unlike Dotloop, instead of seeing just one version, you'll see 2. And you will also see this certification as well. Now, signed versions of forms are automatically created as a PDF so that you cannot change the signatures. Again, another difference between Docusign and Dotloop, where Dotloop, you could move the signatures around and have a chance of editing. With Docusign, these documents are converted to PDFs so that you cannot change. Now, that being said, if you did need to update a PDF, again, check with your broker or compliance coordinator. But this PDF can be treated the exact same as the one we uploaded from a computer. So if you needed to edit this form, you can create envelope from here. And let's say, change this property address. You can go in, do the line through, the couple of initials, add in a text box with the correct address with that exact same process. Another note on signed forms. You, as the agent, will receive an email when each client signs. So if you have more than one client, you'll get an email for when the first client signs and when the second client signs, but you may not see it in your room yet until all clients have signed. One more tip that I wanted to show you is kind of organizing this Docusign room. You'll see now I have not only the interactive forms, but the signed forms and the certification. Maybe I had some forms in here that I didn't end up sending. To organize these a little bit better, you can create folders under this blue Actions button and click Add Folder. So then you would name it. I'm just going to pull in all of my interactive forms to this folder since they are not needed. You'll see the folder populate at the top. Now this is where you'll also see the default folder is Room Docs. Now this is important because if you pop back over to the opportunity and are pulling in your documents to match up with the checklist, the first drop down, Attach Files From, is automatically Docusign because we chose Docusign when starting the transaction. But this second drop down is not defaulting with anything. So you will always have to choose the folder here. Now, since we have created a new folder, you'll want to be sure that you click the correct folder that your documents will be in. But that's why I suggest leaving the signed forms in the Room Docs, the default folder. Excuse me. And moving the forms that you don't need anymore, like the forms and the PDFs, to another folder. So to finish this one out, let's only do the interactive forms. I'm just checkboxing in the top left corner the ones that I want to move over. And then up in this menu that pops up with all the icons, you can see the second option is the move, where you would then select the destination from the drop down here. And then choose the new folder and click Move. You'll see the little green success banner. The forms have moved from the Room Docs to the interactive forms. And then you can collapse this folder as well by clicking the little arrow to the left of the folder name. And actually, let me zoom in a little bit. That little gray arrow there. So again, if you wanted to come in, add another folder for the certifications, you can do that. Check, move, select your destination, and move that into the new folder immediately. So that is it for class today. If you have any questions about any of this content, or you think of another question later on, feel free to contact us. Our contact information is on our website at the very bottom. And again, our website is scottleroymarketing.com. And this class was recorded. So if you would like the recording later on today, that will be available on our YouTube channel as well, youtube.com/scottleroymarketing. And it'll be in the uploads tab, also in the videos tab, just as soon as it's done converting and uploading. And then last but not least, let me send you the Docusign tips and notes. Google Doc again. As soon as I do upload this class, it will be available at the very top and bottom in the links there. As always, thank you for joining and hope you guys have a wonderful day.